In the world of Naruto, you have tons of overpowered character groups. You've got the legendary Sannin who rival the 5 Kage. You got the 5 Kage of the different ninja villages. The Akatsuki are made up of multiple Kage level fighters. And then you have the Otsutsuki vessels with the Karma Seals who have been bestowed upon them the Karma Seal that allows them to draw upon the millennia of knowledge and experience of their Otsutsuki, as well as draw on massive amounts of their power. However, just how broken are the collective of the Otsutsuki vessels and what truly makes them as special as they are? In today's edition of Strongest in Naruto, we're going to be taking a look at what makes the Otsutsuki vessel, what the overall threat level is for them as a group, and how strong are the Otsutsuki vessels that we've been introduced in the series as a collective. So what exactly is it about the Karma Seal that makes an Otsutsuki vessel so hard to take down in battle? To understand why, we have to look at a quick bit of lore here. So the requirements to find out what makes someone compatible with Karma is unknown, and the only thing we do know is that there's a high failure rate when bestowing Karma onto a person. It more than serves its purpose. It gives the Otsutsuki a backup body to be reborn into so they can cheat death, and as the Karma extracts their DNA, their vessel not only has the Otsutsuki's DNA overwrite their own, but the amount of power we see them use via the Karma goes up as well, which basically means that the Otsutsuki vessel has the power needed to protect itself until the Otsutsuki can be reborn into their body. The trade-off for taking the Karma Seal and having your genetics overridden is absolutely huge. You basically get the massive boost in power to your chakra levels and your physical stats across the board by an unspecified multiplier. The Karma Seal gives the user the ability to absorb any chakra-based jutsu so long as it isn't comprised of any natural existing elements. So the water release attacks that Itachi and Kakashi used in part 1 of Naruto when they fought in Konoha, none of those attacks could be absorbed by Karma, because while it was a chakra-based attack, the foundation of the attack was using a naturally existing property. Karma also has the ability to fire back any jutsu that is absorbed, and should they choose to do so, it's going to be fired back at a magnified level. Karma also gives the user the ability to tap into the special powers of their individual Otsutsuki. Boruto gets the Byakugan of Momoshiki. Jigen and Kawaki get the unnamed dojutsu that belong to Ishiki, which uses that Dharma Wheel Eye for inspiration. Any ninjutsu that is used by a person with the Karma is amped up several times, and if they don't use any jutsu at all, they can merely use the chakra amp from the Karma to beef up the physical stats to focus purely on hand-to-hand combat. On top of that, those with Karma and Otsutsuki genetics via the Karma are able to naturally erase their chakra signature to go undetected. This is why 6 past Naruto couldn't sense Jigen, and why Sasuke couldn't sense Momoshiki coming with that kunai until it was too late. And for a point of reference, we've seen Kage and Toneri both erase their chakra signatures before, due to how hard it is to find the right vessel. Since an imperfect vessel results in major setbacks, the number of Otsutsuki vessels in the story is limited, and for the purposes of this video, even though Code is not an Otsutsuki vessel, since he does have the Karma Seal, we're going to include Code into this conversation. Boruto is the only true shinobi that has the Karma Seal. Boruto Uzumaki by himself is a gifted shinobi, possessing an impressive understanding of ninjutsu and having mastery of 3 changes in chakra nature: wind release, lightning release, and water release. Code and Kawaki, they're non-shinobi, though Kawaki does have some ninjutsu training, being able to use shadow clones and the fireball jutsu, but both of them have ninja tech running through their entire bodies. This gives them faster healing than the average person, and ninja tech that allows them to make melee weapons and projectiles from their limbs, and the ninja tech augments the cells in their body using a combination of nanotech and Hashirama cells to boost each of them up to a higher level of power than they would normally get on their own through natural training. Then you have Jigen, the unlucky soul who just happened to be around when Ishiki was near death, and Ishiki shrank down and flew into Jigen's brain to control him from inside, the same way that Plankton controls SpongeBob in the SpongeBob series. However, Jigen, while he isn't a ninja and he uses absolutely no ninjutsu and he doesn't use ninja tech in battle, Jigen, in the brief fight that he had with Naruto and Sasuke before he used the true essence of Karma, Jigen was able to finesse Naruto in combat despite Naruto using 1000 shadow clones, and did so with the grace of a ballet dancer. Jigen, like Kawaki, has the ability to use dojutsu powers of Ishiki, which allows for summoning of chakra cubes and chakra rods and resizing himself and other objects down to 1 inch in size, but that's just the starting point of power for the Otsutsuki vessels. When you look at them individually, you start to see how much of a problem it is to fight this whole group as a collective. By far, this is one of the strongest fighting forces in the entire Naruto franchise. So starting things off with Code, the boy who can't be an Otsutsuki vessel because because he has the white karma seal, but gets all the benefits of karma despite that white karma seal being defective. In his base, Code is already one of the stronger members of KAR, being strong enough that in the anime, when he stated he would use force to bring Boro back to the hideout, Boro's balls absolutely shriveled as a result, and even Kashin Koji wanted to make sure that Code was nowhere in the hideout before Koji went to kill Jigen. More than once, it's been directly implied that Code was stronger than Delta, the same Delta who fought against Naruto and pushed that suppressed 6-pass chakra mode Naruto to the point of exhaustion. Though to be fair, you use up way more energy and effort trying to not kill someone and contain the destructive output of your attacks than you do if you're just going outright with the intent to kill. This same Code felt confident that he could fight off Naruto after he lost Kurama, but was unsure if he could beat Naruto and Sasuke in a 2 versus 1 setting. However, here's the thing, Code does have a nasty jutsu that makes him a headache to deal with in power, which is his claw mark jutsu. Anytime your jutsu is being directly compared to Minato's flying Raijin, your jutsu is pretty busted, and if you were a shinobi, you'd probably be in a bingo book somewhere. Similar to the flying Raijin, Code can just appear at any point that he has a marker placed down, whereas Minato has to use a chakra seal to mark his location. Code has to place his claw mark somewhere as well. When this is done, Code can travel to and from those claw marks. He can reach through the claw marks to yank his enemy through them, which means in a group battle, he can just yank you through the claw marks and into the trajectory of a Vanish and Rasengan from Boruto, or Jigen's chakra cubes can crush you. Code can also send his own attacks through the claw marks as well. Fighting against Code means you have to take a similar stance as you do fighting Minato, which means you have to do what the 4th Raikage did and memorize every single marker on the battlefield and have some insane reflexes to counterattack. But there's one major flaw to Code's claw mark that the flying Raijin doesn't have, and it's actually why the flying Raijin is a superior jutsu than Code's claw marks. With the flying Raijin, the seal never really goes away. Only in the rare instance where you become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki like we saw when Obito became one, Code's claw marks on the other hand, they can be physically destroyed. The first way we've seen this done is Kawaki shrinking the claw marks in size where they can't be used again. However, the true issue with Code is that if you fight him as he is in base, and even with the karma seal, you're still not fighting him at full power. Once his limiters are taken off and he combines the karma seal with that new power up, his power level shoots up to a point where he's stronger than the Jigen who bullied Naruto and Sasuke, but is weaker than Ishiki who killed Kashin Koji and forced Naruto to use Baryon mode. For the purposes of this video, Code is the strongest person you have to worry about in the battle until Ishiki emerges. Now, the other downside to fighting the Otsutsuki vessels as a collective is that after you take out Code, the order at which you take down the rest of them is going to be absolutely important. It's very similar to the Hidan and Kakuzu situation where the order at which you kill them, it matters the most. If you manage to fight and kill Jigen first because you looked at Jigen as a defective vessel whose body begins to crack when he uses too much of Ishiki's power at one point, then you have the even bigger problem. Ishiki gets reborn into Jigen's body, then you have to worry about fighting Ishiki, who is a lot stronger than Jigen is. For that reason, Jigen has to be the last one that you take down in battle, assuming you take out Code before his limiters get removed. Now, the next person you have to target after beating Code with his limiters, you've got to isolate and take down Boruto Uzumaki, which is going to be a hard case when fighting against Karma Seal Boruto. Just on his own without the Karma Seal, Boruto's already stronger than most Jonin and has been stronger than some of the elite Jonin in other nations for a good while now. But when you add in the Karma, you're getting a stat boost that is noticeable enough that Naruto, who had just bullied Boruto in a sparring match, Naruto fought against Karma Seal Boruto and had to brace himself to take his attacks when they landed, and even use a Shadow Clone to take out the Karma Seal Amp Thunderclap arrow. Though to be fair to Naruto was only in base and obviously was not fighting with 100% of his base power, but the boost in power for basic Karma was enough to even Naruto acknowledge the stat boost and the chakra levels increasing to a significant level. When Boruto further taps into Karma for version 2 Karma, where he manifests Momoshiki's Byakugan, without Momoshiki taking over his body, Boruto is covered in a chakra aura. Boruto's stats get another major bump in power, but is still inferior to Momoshiki's power that you saw when Momoshiki was fighting against the Kage. However, when you look at Boruto's ninjutsu arsenal and start factoring in his Karma Seal and that power boost, you got a huge problem on your hands. The increased chakra levels should result in more Shadow Clones being used by Boruto, but what we do know for certain is that all his standard jutsu get a massive buff in power. In his base, Boruto was able to summon a giant volume of water against Ao that can cover the entire forest floor. before. But despite there not being a body of water nearby, and despite water release being Boruto's weakest change in chakra nature, the significance should not be lost upon you as to what Boruto did here. When Edo Tensei Tobirama fought against Hiruzen in part 1 during the Konoha Crush arc, it was directly stated summoning a giant volume of water without nearby standing water was something only a Kage level fighter could do. While Boruto didn't make a massive tidal wave big enough to cover a whole massive chunk of the desert like Kisame did against Team Guy, what Boruto did in base was still very impressive. This means that using the true essence power of karma, Boruto should be able to start pulling off water release close to what we saw Kisame do against Team Guy, or potentially what Kisame did against Killer B, where he made that giant dome of water that covered an entire forest. Now, Boruto has 5 different Rasengans, and they're all going to get a monster amping power as well. Boruto has the basic Rasengan that Minato created for the modern day era. He has the lightning release Rasengan known as the Vanishing Rasengan that can only be tracked via the Sharingan or via any type of ninja tech eyes, since we've only seen Sasuke and Delta track that Rasengan. He's got the wind release Rasengan, which is colored green and can be thrown as a projectile. His wind Rasengan is different than the one that Naruto created, which is not to be confused with Naruto's Rasen Shuriken, which is the completed version of Naruto's wind Rasengan. Naruto's wind Rasengan is a normal shaped Rasengan that has small wind blades that are circling around it. This is the Rasengan that damaged Kakashi's arm during training and that Naruto combined with Yamato's attack when they saved Kakashi from Kakuzu. Boruto's wind Rasengan, on the other hand, accomplishes what Naruto needed the Rasen Shuriken to do, but unlike the Rasen Shuriken, Boruto's attack can't attack the chakra network itself whenever he hits his target. Boruto's 4th Rasengan is also his 5th Rasengan, which is the Compression Rasengan and the Super Compression Rasengan, respectively. This jutsu basically is Boruto achieving the destructive power that you try to aim for with a giant Rasengan, but instead, due to Boruto's own natural chakra levels not being at the level of Naruto or a Sage Mode Jiraiya, Boruto instead compresses the chakra of a giant Rasengan down to a smaller level, which makes the chakra more dense and pack more of a punch. With the Super Compression Rasengan, Boruto compresses that jutsu down to such a small level that the attack potentially can rip out Boruto's arm when he hits because of the recoil, which brings us to Boruto's 6th Rasengan that can only be used if Momoshiki takes over at any point in battle, which is the Rasendan. Now, I want you to think of this like Boruto's version of Yusuke's Spirit Gun from Yu Yu Hakusho. Boruto takes that compressed Rasengan and he aims it like a gun, and he uses his chakra to shoot it off like a bullet that moves at such high speeds that it's almost impossible to react to, and it hits you at even higher rates in damage than if Boruto slammed it into you because it's being shot as a projectile, which eliminates the issue of ripping off your arm. Boruto might only be 12 going on 13, but he's done something his own grandfather couldn't do and make multiple Rasengans, something that Naruto couldn't do until he was the host of all 9 Biju and infused their chakra into the Rasengans. Even scarier is the fact that if Momoshiki does take over, there's quite a bit of relevant information for the power that can be used, because you have all of Boruto's jutsu in the hands of someone even stronger than any version of Boruto we've seen so far. Case in point, Momoshiki inside of Boruto's body was able to fight off of fatigue and mentally nerf Sasuke, who was using the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan after he lost the Rinnegan. Though Sasuke's words in the anime make it clear if he fought without the mental nerf, even while fatigued, he could have killed Boruto, and he told Naruto the next time Momoshiki took over Boruto's body, he would not hold back and he would kill him. Sasuke's a savage. Now, that same Momoshiki was bullying Code, who was dogging out Boruto. That same Code, according to Amato, held an edge over Naruto without Kurama, but Amato did concede he was not certain how to calculate Naruto because it's impossible to calculate how strong or weak Naruto is without Kurama. That's likely because of Sage Mode. Now, Momoshiki, on the other hand, sensed Sage Mode Naruto and thought it best to team up with Code to handle the problem, meaning Momoshiki at least saw Sage Mode Naruto as more of a troublesome threat than Code, but potentially had enough power in his giant Rasengan to kill a mentally nerfed Naruto, who was shocked at seeing Boruto being controlled by Momoshiki so soon after eating those Byakugan drugs meant to prevent this. But the fact that Momoshiki in Boruto's body so easily scaled over White Karma Seal Code, who arguably is scaling over base Naruto, that is really telling right there. Now, moving on to Kawaki, this is perhaps the second most important person you have to kill, and honestly, you could argue you need to take Kawaki out immediately after Code, but I view Boruto and Kawaki as interchangeable because due to the karma resonance there. Karmas are going to grow stronger when they're around each other for extended periods of time with their karmas activated. So it's a pick your poison situation. However, while Kawaki doesn't have the extensive ninjutsu training or arsenal of Boruto, he does have shadow clones and fire release, which would be amped up by his karma seal. Even without karma, he's still stronger than most jonin. With the fatigue, Kawaki destroying the ninja tech robots that Al was using, the same ones that Konohamaru was struggling with, and so too did Team Konohamaru in their fight with those same robots, which is why they said, hey, whoever destroyed these puppets, they must be pretty strong. And to their shock, it ended up being a fatigued Kawaki who did so. And after Konohamaru saw Kawaki fighting Goro, despite the fact that Kawaki was heavily fatigued, Konohamaru saw the power being pumped out and identified him as an S rank level threat, which were referenced as the threat level that elite jonin and Kage are expected to deal with, because basically all the Akatsuki were S rank level threats, to give you a frame of reference here. Now, Kawaki's only grown stronger since then due to his training with Naruto and Boruto. And when you add in the fact that he's got the karma seal, he's able to not only use the karma seal to amp up all of his stats and his jutsu, but he's also able to tap into more of Ishiki's powers without his body breaking apart like it did for Jigen when he uses it for an extended period of time. The Sukuna Hikona allows him to shrink objects and himself down to 1 inch in size and resize those objects, making for an even nastier surprise, because you run into the issue of not knowing where the next attack is going to come from. This becomes even deadlier when you realize that you can't sense Kawaki when he goes down to this small size if he decides to erase his chakra signature. However, the one drawback is that while the chakra signature is erased, the body is still filled with chakra, and that means that the chakra of the person can still be viewed by the Sharingan. As we saw, Sasuke's Sharingan was able to see chakra as a color when Jigen shrank down, and that's how he was able to tell Naruto exactly where Jigen was. Now, the other dojutsu power of Ishiki is the Daikokuden, which allows for summoning of chakra cubes at a speed so fast that 6 Path Sage Mode Naruto had trouble reacting to it, and when the cubes were in place, 6 Path Sage Mode's heightened sensory abilities were automatically shut off, leaving Naruto in the manga to run around blind when he was looking for Ishiki. Now, the Daikokuden allows you to store ninjutsu and other objects that are shrank down with that jutsu, which also allows you to summon them back out and shoot them at the enemy, which is something we saw Ishiki do in the anime against Baryon Mode Naruto, on top of that waterfall before Naruto busts through the fire release using the Rasengan. Kawaki right now in the manga, in terms of Konoha citizens, is the strongest person in the manga. There's no debate about it. That's not my headcanon. That's directly stated that no one can stop Kawaki if he wanted to turn on them, which now includes Naruto and Sasuke. Though it should be worth noting, now that Damon is in Konoha, he's the second strongest person in the village now, because Damon's stronger than Kawaki. And that brings you to Jigen, who has the same powers as Kawaki, but Jigen has a major flaw that you'll want to attack him last so you can exploit it. Jigen is strong. All of the Naruto and Sasuke fans who still get PTSD when you say the name Jigen 3 times when they're standing in the mirror, they think about Jigen bullying Naruto and Sasuke, and they can tell you that Jigen's just built different. Whereas Kaguya initially needed her vacuum punch jutsu, which consisted of multiple hits in the manga to destroy Sasuke's perfect Susanoo, Jigen did it with 1 kick. He destroyed Kurama's avatar, a 6 Path Sage Mode Naruto, who had both halves of Kurama's chakra now. He destroyed that thing with 1 uppercut like he was Ryu from Street Fighter. The problem with Jigen is that while in the manga he only needed a handful of direct hits at full power to leave Naruto near death, the result of using Ishiki's power for an extended period of time is that his body starts cracking to the point where Jigen begins to start crying from the pain and is unable to heal from those injuries without 2 days of rest in the manga. The downside to that is if you somehow manage to kill Code before his limit is removed, you kill Boruto and Kawaki, and you kill Jigen, you now have to fight against Ishiki, who is stronger than all of them due to Ishiki being a whole different tier of power above those characters. As stated numerous times in the manga, Ishiki is much stronger than Jigen. Now, if you're curious about what makes Ishiki that much stronger and deadlier than Jigen, you'll want to check out my strongest in Naruto, the Otsutsuki clan.